Welcome to the Bahamas. Another God said, let there be light moment. That's what we call load shedding around here. What it means, they have to shut down the power to save electricity, to spread it around. So folks' stuff don't go bad overnight, shutting it down entirely. I think they just shut it down like in segments around the island or the country or in, I guess, certain regions. Probably depending on where it's burning the most current. I think we got two power plants or power stations here on the island, Clifton Vale, and then I think the old one's still like in the back of Black Village. I know how long they've been there, but I can remember how old my great grandmother was, so I'm thinking that might have even been there probably from them old airport days around where they have the university now. I know since I've been around, I think I've heard them updating them or switching them or something like that. Maybe once, possibly twice. Not sure which ones they was talking about. But upgrading something when you got a population of 250,000 claim ain't exactly going to be doing the same thing if you got 500 or so thousand claim, I guess. That might be the issue. It don't happen nearly as often as it used to back in the 80s and stuff like that. 90s, early 90s and things. But it still happens from time to time. Especially summer times, while it's hot. And you know how it goes here. The summer then extended from like June until September. You got summer. Well, this the Bahamas. It ain't really nothing much more than summer, maybe a couple of days of winter. Summer, couple of days of winter. And sometimes you get almost a whole 12 months of summer. But it still ain't really been that bad. People bills and stuff like that, I know they're getting a little bit higher. VAT and all of that. I know it's gotten higher. Fuel's gone higher. Electricity's gone higher. I don't know what this situation is. I don't know if it's a nuclear power plant or what. But if it's a nuclear power plant, I don't think they may have been having, I guess, energy generation issues that the place still seems to be having from time to time. Why it didn't make sense for them to go ahead and invest in that, what was it? 150 million or something like that. I think it might have been 150 million to install one of them floating generator balls somewhere out in the harbor or something like that to constantly generate electricity. One thing's for certain, I don't know if it's ever happened in the history of Earth creation. Anytime you go by the water's edge, it's always moving. Always moving. Might move fast, might move slow. And waves might be slightly calm as they seem. It's still moving. So what does that mean? As long as it's moving, you got current generation going on constantly once you install one of them. And for the price I think they was offering, they could have probably gotten maybe 3 or 4 of them for the Bahamas by now, even if they had to borrow money to do it. Borrow money, but then again, how many people does the electric company employ anyhow? What would be different? Let's see. Less fuel costs for the government on bringing stuff in. That's one. What else would it be? The boats or whatever, if they're not Bahamian boats that bring the oil or whatever fuel they use to fuel the power station they got now. If they're not ours, you don't have to pay for them as well as pay for the fuel and stuff to bring the fuel here to power the station if that's what they're using. If they are Bahamian boats that bring the oil over, then maybe they could use those for something else. Seeing as how airplanes ain't necessarily airplaning all the time like how they used to. So my earlier video about the airport, maybe they could use those to transport people, cargo, like a ferry or something like that, into Caribbean or to Florida or something like how the cat used to do back in the day. Or the Bahamas percolating then when that was going on. Stores was flourishing, people could pile up their goods on board the boat and stuff like that, and I think it used to take less than a day to go from here to, was it Miami or Fort Lauderdale? Anyway, point is they don't bring stuff over on small boats like that, so I know they could bring a lot of cargo and stuff like that, have like a national, maybe mail boat or something like that, international mail boat, if necessary, or whatever they want to use it for, but still, I don't think those are boats that bring the oil here. What else? Them same amount of people that they have there working at the power plant, yeah, I'm sure some of those would be laid off, possibly. Engineering and stuff probably cut back, but as far as road service and stuff like that, only thing they would have to do is just disconnect from one system, plug into the other system. Wiring and stuff like that wouldn't have to change, that I know of. They just have to put the lines in to patch into the lines